I used to think all the stories about Inunaki Tunnel were just clickbait. You know, the thumbnails. Red circles. Crying emojis. Went to Japan's most cursed place at 3 a.m. Not clickbait. I'm not a YouTuber. I'm a delivery driver. Or I was. Now I'm just someone who doesn't like driving at night, doesn't like dead zones on the GPS, and never ignores a road closed sign, even if the app says otherwise. It started with overtime. Last one, Shunkoin, my boss said, slapping the cardboard box like it was a friendly shoulder. Well paid, too. Out near Miyawaka. Kind of remote, but you're used to that, right? He meant you're single and don't complain. The label had a name I don't remember now. The address, though. The address is burned into my mind. It was long and oddly specific, ending with something that made me frown. Near former Inunaki Tunnel access road, hand delivery only. You know this place? He asked. I shrugged. I've seen videos, I said. Urban legend stuff. Isn't the old tunnel sealed? He waved a hand. New tunnel's fine, he said. This isn't to the tunnel itself, just someone who lives on the road nearby. Probably an old farmhouse. They paid extra for night delivery. That's good for us. He looked at the clock. If you leave now, you can be back before midnight, he added. Highway's clear at this hour. Overtime pay. Gas card. An easy, quiet road. I told myself the chill in my chest was just from too much canned coffee. I'll go, I said. It was almost comfortable at first. City lights faded in the rearview mirror. The highway turned into a national road, then into narrower, older routes. Stars appeared between the mountains. My navigation app glowed on the dashboard, a calm blue arrow pointing forward. Continue straight for 16 kilometers, it said. I rolled down the window. Autumn air slid in, cool and damp. I tried not to think about all the Inunaki videos I'd watched when I was bored. The ones that talked about the sign on the old road. The one that supposedly says, the laws of Japan do not apply beyond this point. Of course, the real sign doesn't say that, not exactly. It says the road is closed. That it's not maintained. That entry beyond the barrier is forbidden. The rest is rumor layered on top. At least, that's what I told myself. My phone screen dimmed for a second, then brightened. The signal bars dropped to 1. Approaching destination, the app said, voice still smooth. The arrow shifted, pointing to a thinner line on the map, branching off the main road. Turn left, it instructed. Then continue straight. My headlights swept over an old service road entrance. The metal gate was partially open, chains hanging loose, like someone had undone them but not bothered to take them away. White text on a rust-red sign read, road closed, beyond this point, no services. Underneath, someone had spray-painted a messy line through the official warning. The words "no entry" had been scratched out. The phrase that had always been just an internet joke whispered in my memory. The laws of Japan do not apply here. I laughed once, too loud. Really? I said to no one. You're getting scared because of thumbnails? My navigation app didn't care about urban legends. Turn left, it repeated calmly. The client had paid extra for hand delivery. The road looked solid enough from here. I turned. The difference was immediate. The asphalt on the closed road was cracked, weeds pushing up through the seams. Guardrails lined the edge, but some sections were missing, replaced by thin yellow rope. Trees leaned closed above the road, branches knitting together like fingers. My phone vibrated once. Signal 0. Offline mode activated, the app announced. Follow marked route to destination. The map still showed the road. My blue arrow still moved. It comforted me more than it should have. Just an old road, I told myself. People use closed roads all the time to get to houses the city forgot about. It's fine. My headlights caught reflective circles on old, leaning poles. For a moment, my brain screamed, eyes. But they were just broken mirrors and traffic markers, half swallowed by moss. As I rounded a curve, something large and pale flashed at the edge of the beams. I slammed the brake. The van lurched. A faded billboard stood just off the road, wood warped, paper peeling. Most of the ad had rotted away. Only the smiling face of a dog remained, cartoonish and cheerful, beside half a word. Naki. Inunaki. My heart thudded. I laughed again, weakly. Great marketing placement, I said. Very subtle. The road narrowed further. Shrubs scraped at the sides of the van. Branches overhead clawed at the roof with dry fingers. The app glowed on. Continue straight, it said. 2 kilometers. The air grew colder. My breath fogged slightly in the cabin. I rolled the window up. That's when I heard the first announcement. It crackled faintly through the trees, distant and warped, like an old-school broadcast echoing from far away. All residents, the evening siren has sounded. Please return home. Repeat, please return home before dark. The voice was thin. Sexless. Old. I slowed, squinting through the windshield. At first, I didn't see the source. Then the road curved again, and my headlights picked it out. A rusted public loudspeaker mounted high on a thin metal pole, half hidden by branches. The kind villages used to announce festivals, emergencies, lunchtime. It was canted at an angle, as if something had pushed it from below. When the announcement ended, the speaker crackled with soft static, then fell silent. I glanced at the clock. 21:12. Night had already fallen. Old system glitching, I muttered. Probably on some forgotten timer. The app chimed. Continue straight, it said cheerfully. 1 kilometer. The address label on the box at my side felt heavier than cardboard. Recipient, Ichikawa handwritten. Address, locator code, near former Inunaki Tunnel access road. No house number. No postal code. Just directions like the start of a ghost story. I told myself it was just rural life. My grandparents' house had once been like that. Turn right at the big cedar tree, go past the third rice field, we're the one with the red roof. People used landmarks. That didn't make them cursed. Still, when I saw the next sign, my hands tightened on the wheel. It was old, metal, mounted on 2 posts, its white paint gone gray with age. Most of the text had peeled off. Only a few phrases remained, black letters clinging stubbornly to the surface. No maintenance. Entry forbidden. Beyond this point. The last line had been scraped off so violently that the metal was gouged. Someone had taken a tool to it. Below, in newer red spray paint, a message sprawled. Turn back while the road is still yours. I swallowed. The air in the van felt thin. Almost there, I said, knuckles white on the wheel. Drop the box. Take a photo. Leave. That's it. As if on cue, the app spoke again. Destination ahead on right, it announced. You have arrived. The beams of my headlights swept over, nothing. No house. No gate. Just forest pressing close to the road, and, on the right side, a narrow dirt track leading downhill into the trees. There was no mailbox. No lamp. But my screen showed the blue arrow resting exactly on the little red pin of the destination. I pulled over as far as I could on the crumbling asphalt and killed the engine. Silence rushed in. Thick. The kind of silence that has weight, like something pressing its ear to your window. I picked up the box. The cardboard felt damp, though there was no condensation on the glass. Hello? I called out the window, my voice too loud in the stillness. Delivery service. Package for Ichikawa-san. The trees did not answer. The public speaker on the last pole was too far back now. No dog barked. No car passed. Only the faint, distant rush of wind somewhere higher in the mountains, like someone breathing in their sleep. Someone had to have ordered this. People lived out here. The app wouldn't invent addresses. I opened the door. Cold air slapped my face. The dirt path looked just barely wide enough for a person carrying a box. It sloped down out of sight. I turned on my phone's flashlight with a swipe. Screen glow. White beam. No signal. Hand delivery only, I muttered. Fine. I stepped onto the path. The ground felt softer than it looked. Not mud. Something else. Leaves, I told myself. Rotting leaves. The path curved between trees and then opened into a small clearing. My breath caught. There was a house. Old, but standing. Wooden walls darkened by age and rain. A tiled roof sagging a little in the middle like a tired back. The front door was a sliding type, half glass, half wood, with paper screens on the inside. A yellow porch light glowed over the entrance. Soft. Inviting. Just bright enough to show the stone step and the empty space where shoes should have been. Relief flooded me so fast I laughed. See? I told myself. You're an idiot. It's just a remote house. Old, but fine. You drop the box and go. I approached the step. Sumimasen. I called. Delivery service. I have a package for Ichikawa-san. Is anyone home? The porch light hummed faintly. Beyond the glass, the interior looked blurred. Not dark, exactly. Like light filtered through fog. I set the box down on the stone. Took out my phone. Snapped a quick photo as proof of delivery, box on the step, address label visible, house in background. I sent it to my work group chat with a short message. Delivered to Ichikawa-san. No one answered, left at door. The message spun for a second. Then a small red exclamation mark appeared beside it. Failed to send. Of course. No signal. Fine, I muttered. I'll send it when I'm back on the main road. I bowed a little toward the door, out of habit. Package delivered, I said, louder. I'll leave it here, okay? As I straightened, something inside the house moved. A shadow shifted behind the paper screen. Not a trick of light. A shape. Human height. Standing just inside the door. I froze. Ah, Sumimasen, I said quickly. Do you want me to bring it in? The shape didn't answer. Didn't move closer. Just leaned a fraction to one side, as if looking at me past the frame. Your package is here, I said, trying not to let my voice wobble. From the city. I'll just leave it. The shadow's head tilted. In the dim porch light, I caught the suggestion of a face through the paper. Round. Pale. Featureless at this distance. Like a blank mask. Suddenly, it struck me that I couldn't see any furniture behind it. No shelves. No curtains. No clutter. Just blank, softly glowing paper in that one shape. Thank you for using our service, I said, bowing again because I had no idea what else to do. As I turned to go, the porch light flickered. Once. Twice. Then steadied. Behind me, something scraped lightly against wood, like bare feet on old floorboards. I didn't look back. Not then. The path felt narrower on the way up. The forest seemed closer. By the time I reached the van, my heart rate had almost settled. I climbed in. Shut the door. Turned the key. The engine coughed. Once. Twice. Then died. Come on, I muttered, trying again. Nothing. The dashboard remained dark. Only the cold blue glow of the navigation app lit the cabin. My blue arrow still rested on the little road. The destination pin pulsed. A small banner appeared at the top of the screen. Trip incomplete. Recipient not confirmed. Please complete handover. I frowned. Bug, I said. Stupid offline mode. I tried the ignition again. Silence. No click. No whine. As if the battery had been yanked out while I was gone. I checked the lights, they were off. I hadn't left anything running. My fingers hovered over the app. I tapped en route. The screen darkened. Then flashed, returning to the exact same display. Trip incomplete, it repeated. Please complete handover. My throat was dry. I glanced back down the dirt path. The porch light at the house still glowed. But I thought, though it might have been my imagination, that it looked a little brighter now. A little closer. Okay, I said, forcing a laugh. Okay. We'll play your game. I got out of the van. This time, I left the box where it was. At the door. Instead, I walked to the front of the vehicle and popped the hood. Everything looked normal. No loose cables. No smoke. I wasn't a mechanic, but the engine didn't smell burned. It just wasn't there. No heat. As if it hadn't been running for hours. Cold sank into my fingers. Fine, I said. I'll call roadside assistance. My phone showed 1 bar of signal. I dialed. The call screen froze. Then my phone rebooted itself without asking. The company logo flashed. Then the lock screen. The time read 21:12. Same as before. As if no time had passed. My background image, which should have been the default ocean picture, had changed. Now it was a grainy photo of a rural house. Familiar. Porch light glowing. Front step empty. The same house I'd just visited. But in the photo, the door was open a crack, and something dark peered out from the gap. My skin crawled. I locked the phone. Shoved it into my pocket. Behind me, the public speaker crackled to life somewhere in the trees. The voice this time was clearer. All residents, the outsider has arrived, it said. Please remain inside your homes. Repeat, please remain inside until the road takes him. The road takes him. A breeze slipped between the trees, cold and damp. I turned slowly, scanning the forest. No village lights. No lanterns. Only that one porch light down the path. Shining like an eye. My navigation app pinged again, announcing itself in my pocket. I didn't remember opening it. I pulled out the phone. A new message had appeared beneath the map. New route, proceed through Inunaki Village. Estimated travel time, unknown. The blue arrow no longer pointed back the way I'd come. It pointed forward. Deeper along the cracked road, toward where I knew, from all those videos, the old tunnel used to be. The one they'd sealed. The one people said you shouldn't approach at night. The van wouldn't start. My phone wouldn't call. The only visible light belonged to a house occupied by something that wasn't coming to sign for its package. The laws of Japan do not apply here. The words slid through my mind again, no longer funny. Maybe the road itself had its own law. Once you turned past the sign, you kept going. Until something decided you were done. I could wait for morning, I told myself. Stay in the van. Lock the doors. Sleep badly. Hope the engine magically worked when the sun came up. Hope the road let me leave. In the silent forest, I realized how much I didn't trust hope. The speaker crackled again. Please proceed, the thin voice urged. The village is waiting. Behind those words, just for an instant, I thought I heard something else. A murmur. Many voices layered together, speaking low. Too many syllables to catch. Too many throats to belong to a place that no longer exists. My feet moved. Not toward the house. Toward the wheel. I climbed in. My hands rested on the steering wheel. I tried the engine one last time, out of spite. It roared to life. The sound was too loud in the narrow road. I stared at the lit-up dashboard. The gas gauge hovered just above empty. It hadn't been that low when I left the city. My phone screen pulsed. Continue straight, the app said. Then enter Inunaki Village. I didn't select the route. Something had. The porch light down the path flickered. Once. As if nodding. I put the van in drive. The road ahead degraded quickly. What had been cracked asphalt became patches of stone and dirt. Weeds brushed the underside of the chassis. The guardrails gave up entirely. On one side, the mountain leaned in. On the other, nothing but night and the suggestion of a drop. The headlights carved out a narrow tunnel of visibility. Beyond that, blackness pressed. There were houses. Not many. Scattered along the road like teeth in a broken jaw. Some were barely more than skeletons, collapsed roofs, walls open to the elements, glass gone. Others stood almost intact, their windows dark, their doors shut. A few had lights on inside. Faint, yellow, like the one at Ichikawa's place. Shadows moved behind their paper screens. When my headlights passed, the lights went out. Public speakers dotted the route, each mounted on a leaning pole. They crackled sporadically as I passed. All residents, water from the river is now unsafe. Do not drink. Extra rice will be distributed in front of the shrine at. Outsiders are not permitted beyond the tunnel after. Announcements for people who weren't supposed to exist anymore. For a village erased from official maps. My navigation app's map shifted. New lines grew in the blank space, sketching out narrow lanes and paths as if drawing from memory. Little gray squares appeared to mark houses. The name at the top of the screen changed. Inunaki Village it read, in simple, neutral font. As if it had always been there. My breath hitched. No signal, I muttered. How are you updating? The app didn't answer. The van's engine began to sound wrong. Not broken. Just strained. Like it felt heavier than before. Like something else was riding along that I couldn't see, filling the back of the cargo space, weighing down the seats. I glanced in the rearview mirror. For a split second, I saw the box on the passenger seat. The one I'd left at Ichikawa's door. Then I blinked, and it was gone. My chest tightened. You delivered it, I told myself. You left it. You took a photo. That's real. That happened. Then whose reflection had been sitting beside me? The next house sat right against the roadside, so close my mirror nearly brushed its eaves. As I passed, something banged once against the inside of its shuttered window. Hard. Fingers. Hands. A head. I didn't slow. I didn't look. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw the shutter bulge outward briefly, would bowing like someone inside had thrown their full weight against it. Then it snapped back. The public speaker above that house's roof crackled. Do not open your doors, the thin voice said. The road is passing through. Something laughed behind the words. Not with humor. With relief. With hunger. It's hard to tell how long you've been driving when time stops behaving. The clock on my dashboard stayed fixed at 21:12. My phone battery didn't drop. The gas needle wavered above empty like the second hand of a broken watch. The village thickened around me. More houses. A glimpse of a narrow shrine up a side path, stone foxes staring with empty eyes. A cluster of old vending machines, lights dead, their fronts so scratched I couldn't make out the brands. At one point, a dog ran across the road. I slammed the brake. The van stopped in time. The animal stood in the headlights, facing away from me. Its fur was patchy. Its ribs showed. Its tail hung limply. Slowly, it turned its head. Where its eyes should have been were two smooth patches of skin. No sockets. No lids. Just hairless, pale circles. Its nose twitched. It sniffed the air, then opened its mouth. Rows of teeth. Too many. The jaws yawned wider, wider, until the skin at the corners of its mouth split. Darkness inside. Then it closed. Turned. Stumbled off into the forest. My hands shook on the wheel. I didn't move until it was gone. When I looked at my phone again, a new message had appeared on the map. Speed limit, irrelevant. Traffic laws, irrelevant. Keep moving. The gas needle twitched a little lower. Somewhere ahead, the road rose. The mountain face wrapped around it. The darkness grew deeper, the trees leaning closer. I knew what was coming. Even before the curve, I knew. When I rounded the bend and saw it, my stomach dropped. The old tunnel entrance. Concrete mouth gaping in the hillside, blacker than the night around it. Metal fencing had been erected across the opening, welded and chained. Warning signs hung from the barrier. No entry, danger. Tunnel sealed. Do not approach. The concrete above the arch was stained with long, dark streaks, as if the mountain had been crying for a long time. The new highway tunnel, the one still in use, should have been somewhere else entirely. This one belonged to the stories. To the grainy photos. To the daring videos of idiots who squeezed through holes in the fence just to see. My navigation app chimed. Enter tunnel, it instructed. Then proceed straight through Inunaki Village. A laugh bubbled in my throat, half hysterical. There's a fence, I said aloud. No one's entering anything. As if in answer, the van rolled forward. My foot slammed on the brake. The pedal sank under my sole. Nothing happened. The van inched closer. Slow. Steady. Like something was pushing from behind. I yanked the handbrake. The lever creaked. The van slowed. Stopped. The headlights illuminated the fence. The metal links glinted. Beyond them, nothing but black. I put the van in park. Turned the key. The engine cut off mid-whine, like a throat cut while speaking. Silence crashed down. The public speaker on the nearest pole screeched to life. Final notice, the voice said, now distorted. The road is at the end. The outsider must now decide, stay in the village or stay on the map. The phrase made no sense. And yet it did. Somewhere in the darkness beyond the fence, something shuffled. Not a human step. Not quite. Like many feet moving together. I grabbed my phone with numb fingers. The map had changed again. Now it showed the tunnel as a thick black bar. On one side, a cluster of gray shapes labeled Inunaki Village. On the other, a thin blue line back toward the main road. My blue arrow sat at the border. Two options flashed beneath it. Return abandoned trip, accept loss. Enter complete trip, accept terms. Terms. There was no signal. No internet. But some system out here still thought in contracts. My thumb hovered over return. I imagined turning the key, finding the engine working again, the van rolling backward down the cursed road, the village houses watching with dark windows as I left. I imagined reaching the main road. The highway. The city. Normal traffic. Normal streetlights. And then, maybe, glancing at my phone and noticing that something was missing. A bank account balance. A number in my address book. My own existence, shaved away from the records one database at a time. Maybe the price of leaving Inunaki Village was letting it take your life on paper. Erasing you from the systems that make you real in modern Japan. I thought of Ichikawa on the label. Of a package delivered to a house that official maps said didn't exist. Of a voice announcing my arrival over loudspeakers that weren't connected to anything. If I left, maybe I'd be like them. Here, but not here. A glitch in the system. A name that never returns a hit. A person whose birth registry entry is inexplicably blank. If I entered. If I accepted terms I didn't understand. Maybe I'd stay on the map. But the map would be this one. The one in my phone now. The underground geography of a place everyone says was demolished years ago. The thought made my skin prickle. Behind the fence, the shuffling grew louder. Closer. A faint, sour smell drifted out, stale water, old smoke, something like wet fur. "Shun." The voice made my heart stop. It wasn't coming from the speakers. It was coming from the tunnel. Soft. Familiar. My mother's voice. "Shun," she called again. "What are you doing? You're late. You always make us worry." Her tone was exactly right. Sharp at the edges. Soft in the middle. I knew, with the part of my brain that still believed in cause and effect, that it couldn't be her. She was in the city, watching variety shows, texting me about forgetting to visit. But the sound vibrated in my bones exactly like it did when she called me as a teenager, asking when I'd be home. "Come in where we can see you," she said from the darkness. "You're standing in the road again." My hand shook. Somewhere deep in the phone settings, a notification popped up. "Incoming call, home." I almost swiped to answer. But behind my mother's voice, under the familiar rhythm, I heard something else. Other voices, layered. Repeating. Mouths moving slightly out of sync. "You're late. You're late. You're late." Not angry. Eager. Like a crowd at a festival waiting for the fireworks. I put the phone face down on the dashboard. Talk to the windshield instead. "I am not entering that tunnel," I said carefully. "I don't care what terms you think I agreed to. I am a delivery driver. I am not a resident." I dropped the package. "That's enough." The loudspeaker crackled. "Road cannot be incomplete," the thin voice insisted. "Every trip must end somewhere. Every driver belongs to a route." Part of me wanted to laugh. Was that it? Was that how this place thought? In routes and trips and destinations? Maybe that's how you survive when you've been erased. You invent your own network. Your own logic. Everyone is either resident or passing through. No third option. The gas needle fell one more notch. Almost empty. If I stayed arguing much longer, the van would strand me here permanently. I closed my eyes. Thought of the house at the end of the dirt path. The package on the step. The shadow behind the paper. "You already have someone," I said quietly. "Ichikawa. Whoever placed that order. Whoever lives in that house. Whoever used my route to feed their address back into your system." I opened my eyes. Stared at the black mouth of the tunnel. "At least let the driver go," I said. "You need us. Without us, no one reaches you. Without us, you starve." It was a guess. A stupid, desperate guess. But something in the trees stirred at the words. The shuffling paused. The murmuring quieted. "Starve," the layered voices repeated, as if turning the word over. The loudspeaker whined. "Routes," it said slowly. "Drivers. Deliveries." Something moved against the inside of the fence. In the headlights, I saw marks on the metal I hadn't noticed before. Vertical scratches, uneven and thick, like someone had dragged fingers down the links over and over. Some ended in sticky, dark smears. Old. Almost black. Others were fresh. Shiny. My stomach turned. "You're not a resident," the thin voice said at last. "Not yet. You are infrastructure." The word sounded strange in that old loudspeaker tone. "Road cannot eat the car," it added. "Then there is no road." The gas needle twitched upward. Just a little. Like something had gently blown into the tank. My phone screen lit up. The options beneath the map changed. Now they read: "Return to map. Return to village." My thumb moved before I could overthink it. Return to map. The route lines shifted. The blue arrow turned around. For the first time since I turned off the main road, the app's voice sounded strained. As if it disliked the words. "Make a U-turn," it said. "Proceed back the way you came. Do not stop. Do not answer. Do not answer." Answer what? I began. The tunnel exhaled. A gust of cold, damp air rushed out past the fence, through the van's cracked windows, over my skin. In it, for a heartbeat, I heard every voice I'd ever known calling my name at once. Family. Friends. Teachers. Bosses. Strangers. All blended into one sound. Shun. My fingers twitched toward the window controls. I forced them back to the gear shift. Put the van in reverse. Turned. Slowly, carefully, heart pounding, I backed away from the tunnel. The fence remained closed. The darkness did not follow. Not visibly. The public speaker crackled once, like static clearing. Then it went silent. I don't remember much of the drive back through the village. Snatches. A house where the porch light blew out as I passed, showering the step in sparks that never quite hit the ground. An alley where figures stood shoulder to shoulder in the dark, perfectly still, watching without eyes. A narrow bridge where every plank creaked my name. What I do remember is the way my navigation app whispered directions with absolute clarity. Keep driving. Do not stop for anyone on the road. There is no accident ahead. That is not real. The woman in the white dress does not need a ride. At one point, a figure stumbled into the beams. I saw her only for a second. She wore a white one-piece dress, once clean, now stained. Her hair hung over her face. Her arms were outstretched, palms up. Her mouth moved soundlessly. The app hissed in my ear through the tiny speaker. Do not stop. Do not answer. She belongs to the village. I drove around her. My hands shook. In the mirror, she shrank, then vanished. The houses thinned. The public speakers grew fewer. The forest pressed in, then peeled away. Finally, the cracked old sign appeared in my headlights again. The one with the scraped-off line. The road ends here, some worker had probably once written. The laws of Japan do not apply beyond this point, the internet had added. My van's tires rolled back onto smoother asphalt. The old gate loomed ahead. Still half open. Still chained loosely, as if hoping someone would hook it closed and put an end to the game. The moment I passed through, my phone chimed. Signal bars filled. Messages flooded in. My unsent delivery photo went out. The time on the dashboard jumped from 21:12 to 2:47. My gas gauge dropped back to where it had been before that little upward twitch. The navigation app closed itself. When I reopened it, the little side road I'd just come from was gone. Just a blank stretch of trees. No Inunaki Village. No former access road. Just a bit of gray showing where the old tunnel might be, marked simply. Road closed. I drove back to the city in silence. I ignored the urge to look into the rearview mirror. At one point, my phone buzzed. A message from my boss. Got your delivery pick. But, did you go to the wrong house? That place has been abandoned for decades. I checked Street View. Creepy LOL. Anyway, good job. Go home and sleep. Street View. I didn't open it. Didn't want to see an image of an empty step, a dark doorway, no porch light. Didn't want to compare it to the house I'd walked up to, where something had stood behind the paper screen and tilted its head at me. Some nights, my navigation app glitches. Just a little. I'll be heading somewhere completely normal, and for a second my route will flicker. A tiny, pale gray line appears at the edge of the screen, branching off from my path, leading toward the mountains. The label over it reads, Inunaki Village temporarily unavailable. Then it vanishes. My phone battery lasts longer than it should. My engine sometimes feels heavier than it has any right to. I don't take overtime deliveries anymore. I don't drive near Miyawaka. And I never, ever accept jobs that mention tunnels. But I know the road is still there. It doesn't need Google Maps. It only needs people who like shortcuts. People who like dare videos. People who think urban legend means safe to play with. The road made a bargain with me that night. It let me stay on the map, in the systems, in the world where gas stations take my card and my boss texts me about shifts. In exchange, I suppose, it kept something else. The memory of my route. My fear layered into its own navigation. A little more data in its ghostly network. So here's my advice: if you're listening to this on your phone, late at night, thinking about searching for that old sign and that half-open gate. If your GPS ever tells you to ignore an official road closed sign. If it says continue straight past a barrier that your eyes can clearly see. If it keeps rerouting you back toward an old tunnel even when you try to turn away. Remember, on some roads, you're not just a driver. You're the delivery. And some villages that no longer exist are still very hungry for things that arrive after dark, following directions no one remembers writing.